What we're going to be looking at now is Sony and their big failure. There's also some YouTube stuff, but I won't talk about that because not. So the main thing from Sony right now is that Sony is getting rid of all physical games. And it's a massive, it's kind of a problem, mainly because, okay, she's back. Gotta throw her. Sony's getting rid of physical media. Now, there's a problem with getting rid of physical media, and the main thing is that one, as you can read the reader's notes, with the experience of physical retail store sales, Sony would hold a monopoly over video game sales on PlayStation because alternative digital stores are not allowed on the platform. Without alternative, consumers would be forced to unfavorable terms. So Sony effectively controls the entirety of their ecosystem. That's one problem. They already effectively did, right? They're axing a shit ton of stuff. There was a situation where Sony quite literally took, they basically DRM their license for movies on their platform went away. So they just basically stole everyone's heart money they paid into. They purchased movies, they got rid of them. So Sony, on a push of a button, can quite literally take all of your product away, no matter what, because of DRM. And on the digital rights management, if I remember correctly, it's basically a licensing form that once that license expires, the game's effectively dead. It can't run, and it forces all games to be online. And if you don't have an online connection, you can't play the game. Doesn't matter if you have a disc, doesn't matter if you're digital. If you don't have an online connection with DRM, you can't play the game. Sony's not doing away with that. They're just getting rid of physical media. Physical media is more of a collectible thing. Most people don't buy discs. I buy discs because specifically for Halo and Gears, because I have a collection of all the games, and I just want to build my collection. So it's more of a collectible thing for me rather than a necessity. If you really wanted a physical game, you could burn it onto a flash drive and play that, or you could get a disc reader and so forth. But the problem is that they're not making disc anymore. So theoretically, they should reduce prices, which they won't because they didn't do it when they made digital only. So it's not reducing it's just reducing their overhead, and not that overhead isn't coming back to the consumer. So it's already a big issue. It's kind of the big thing when they started moving into the digital storefront. Sony now controls completely everything you have. If you get banned off of Sony, they can take away all your products. And it's one of the big problems I have right now with this. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, well, if I have my disc, if you have a disc, if you have a downloaded version, like if you go to Good Old Games and you download it, has most of their games, I'm pretty sure all their games have no DRM protections, meaning you could literally burn that shit onto a CD and be able to play it anywhere. Sony games don't do that anymore due to DRM issues. So you're not going to be able to do that. Getting rid of physical discs. They're shutting down the PlayStation Store on things that on the PS3, PS Vita, stuff like that. So let's go back. So that's the big thing, right? So it's effectively a stop killing game situation where this is going to kill video games. Microsoft is also doing it, but I do know they're still going to be doing the new PlayStation consoles, the new Xbox are not going to have disc readers. There's not much we can do about it. It sucks that we're getting basically a piece of cardboard with a if you're not going to be able to buy in game in like Walmart anymore. You're not going to be able to buy. You'll buy a code from Walmart, and then you have to go put that gift card code in, and it's going to suck. You know, it's as a child when I got a new game, I open it up. Oh my god, I got the disc. Plug the disc in, turn up. Halo 2 pops up. You know, that's gonna go away too. Oh, mommy, let me take your credit card information. And now I can play Fortnite. V-Bucks. You know, that's what we're looking at here. But yeah, it's definitely a massive problem, and there's more to it. So let's keep looking to it. We're looking at now, after recently raising prices of PS5 and mid-growing concerns of the suspension of sales, Sony stated it's not planning to sell hardware at significant costs. That's the next problem. They're getting rid of the disc reader, right? And they're not reducing prices. So not only have they got Sony, the guys that make fucking Blu-ray, you know, DVD players, those guys, you know, Sony that makes the shit that you can put CDs into, isn't putting a CD player on their console. Something's not making any sense here, right? But they're also not going to reduce the price. So the non-disc reader option isn't going to be reduced in price. It's still going to be expensive. So not only is losing the disc reader to go full digital, so they're losing that overhead. That's not going to reduce the price on that for the physical portion. Now their consoles are still going to cost more, even though they've gotten rid of parts of the hardware, right? And I doubt they're going to be like, this is not going to be as good as anything else, and no significant losses. So basically you're going to be paying for all those parts, because what you would have to do is, right, because obviously if you know anything about companies and like gaming, or just generalized like market and how that works, like when a company buys something, they buy it in bulk, right? So they get a reduction, they get a discount from the producers for buying in bulk. So if you go to the market, right, you go to a hardware store, right, and you're buying drywall, right, there's the base price, and then if you start buying full units of drywall, they do like a 10% reduction in price. So you're sitting there looking at like, oh, it's $12 a board for a 4x8 piece of drywall. You buy 48 of them, which is like a unit. I don't fucking know off the top of my head. You buy 48 pieces of drywall. Well, we're going to give you a 10% cut. And all the drywall you purchase after that, 10%. So if you buy 100, so when you're going to NVIDIA or AMD to buy their new graphics cards to shove into your console, because it's got to be a custom. It's not just a graphics card you slam into a computer and a PCI slot. This is a custom built graphics card, processor, you name it, specifically built for these consoles. Well, when you make 1 million, 2, 3, 4, 50, 60, 70, 100 million units, and you got to buy 100 million of these graphics cards, and each of those graphics cards is running the company $500. Well, and then NVIDIA like, well, because we're marketing together, we'll give you a 25% discount. So they're not going to be selling, and then normally they'll sell at market cost, and they'd only make 25% on every console sold. Now they're probably going to be selling at like 50% more than market cost. They're probably getting like 50%. So instead of 25% below, they're going to be selling it closer, 50% more. So if say the cost to make their product was $500 and they were selling it at $750, now they're going to be selling something they built for $500 for $1,000. And that's what we're going to be looking at. And Sony refuses. Xbox is doing the same. Steam did the same. I don't think this is massive deal, but it's definitely something that's going to be a problem when you're going to buy the new generation of consoles. And it's just something that's happening due to the hardware issues going on, because these companies are buying these companies are buying up everything to make AI data farms. And I'm not necessarily worried about that, but if you don't have a computer, I'd recommend just, instead of buying a $1,500 PlayStation, just save up for 2 more months and buy an actual computer. But even then, right now the stock is going down and down and down. Like, you got to get it quick before it's gone, or before you start, like, people are already spending $1,000 for like a mid-tier graphics card. You're going to be sitting at, you got a problem here. So that's the main thing. So you got no physical media. No physical media anymore, and no disc reader, and they're not reducing the price for any of that. You got some Reddit garbage, some Reddit drama. They're deleting Reddit modders remove post criticized Sony visible sales comparison from some PlayStation related subreddits. I don't care about that. I just kind of a thing. They're lying about digital versus physical sales. 85% includes PS Plus, DLCs, indie titles, etc. So I'm pretty sure, like, physical sales versus digital sales on PlayStation for the first party titles that can actually be purchased physically is probably sitting at like 60% of their sales. Well, now it's going to be 100% are going to be digital, so that's gone. I can't say much about it. It's just kind of obvious. ICYM, the gaming industry is not responding well to the news that PlayStation is not producing disc. Yeah, there's been a huge backlash, mainly because it's a step, because it's you already don't own your title, right? Because you don't own the license to it. You don't own the product. You don't physically own it. You can't make modifications to it. You can't burn it and distribute it or stuff like that. Even if you had the physical disc, right? What they'll do is, I don't know the exact technical term, but they already do it now, right? The Switch does it. You get the little chip that you put into your Switch, and your Switch shoots on. Now that chip is hard coded only to your Switch. You can't take your chip out, go over to your friend Bubba and take his Switch and put the chip in and play the game. It has to be on your Switch because it won't function, because they've already used the individual token given by that chip. They've been doing that for years. Microsoft, on the other hand, they're trying to make it so that there was a post from Microsoft, or Xbox specifically, where you could take your discs put it into your Xbox, and then that would basically give you the permanent digital media coupon, and you could disseminate that by doing console sharing with Xbox. I'm pretty sure you can console share on PlayStation. I could be wrong. But these discs, it doesn't really matter, because again, even if you own, say PlayStation 2, right? The original PlayStation 2. If that was connected to the internet and they had DRM back then, right? They could, with a snap of their fingers, push of a button, turn off your ability to play a PlayStation game. Kingdom Hearts 1 on PS2. It's connected to the internet. You can't connect to the internet anymore. You can't play the game. If you try to play a game that you own on Xbox and you try to play it without an internet connection, you can't play it, even if it's a single player game. If you have Witcher 3 and you only have the digital title, you don't have the physical disc, and you try to play it offline, you can't play it. Right? It's the same thing. We're just looking at it being exacerbated because Sony's effectively pulled back the curtain, because the layman's, some people call them the goys, depending on who you're talking to. The layman's, the idiots, the bottom 2%ers that play video games, they're realizing now that their little discs don't actually mean anything, and they're fighting. And I get it. I'm mad too, because I like collecting the discs just for a physical collection, not necessarily to actually use them. I like Xbox's approach, where you're basically, once you have that disc, you can just put it in and get the digital license. It's yours forever. PlayStation's not doing that, is what it is. They're getting rid of very little backwards compatibility on PlayStation. They've effectively killed the PlayStation Store on the PS3, making it impossible for you to purchase PlayStation 3 games on the PS3, which is going to suck. And that's kind of where digital media becomes a necessity, which is kind of like another argument for digital media, is that if you do not own a physical copy, and when they shut the servers down for the store, how am I supposed to play your games? Which is a massive issue, especially with PS3. I know certain PS3 games that realistically PS3 games aren't full of DRM. That was more of started in the PS4 era. It still had some of them, but it wasn't the industry standard quite yet. But PS3 games, Xbox games, once those stores shut down, the only way to play those games is either buy them on the newer store if they're backwards compatible, which for Sony tended to not be the case. Xbox you can, but if say you want to go play Uncharted has a DLC that you can only purchase on the PlayStation Store. Well, now you can't play that DLC unless you purchased it now, and that's going to be a problem. That's something that Sony has to address, and I doubt they will. Now, a lot of PS5s are interested in jailbreaking their consoles, so there's obviously going to be a ton of jailbreaking, a ton of piracy, and all that good stuff happening, because people are going to figure out how to do it now. It's been from, if you're able to download Steam on a PS5, you can buy emulators, all that stuff. It's going to be the same thing with the OG iPhone and stuff like that, but it's going to be bad. Now, here is the big issue, which is PlayStation in April updated. Right, so this has been a while, but people have been noticed it now because they've been digging through the terms of service a little more, and people didn't actually check, from my understanding. But it's gone into effect. If a PSN account remains inactive for 36 months, Sony may begin the account closure process. The account holder will receive an email notification at 6 months to sign in, or request their account remain active and no action is taken, the account is closed. Access PlayStation Network service will end. Any digital purchase tied to that account, including games, DLC, and other digital content, will no longer be accessible. The process is irreversible. This is massive. So not only can you just I didn't play video games for 3 years on my PlayStation, right? I haven't turned on my Xbox in probably 2 years, because all the friends I played with Xbox on stopped playing Xbox, so they grew up, right? I'm probably the only person left that actually plays video games that hasn't moved on. It's like some loser, right? So if you didn't turn on that account, right? Say you swapped to Steam, and for the last 3 years you haven't touched your PSN account. You still have the account, still have all the products on it. I just haven't turned it on yet. Well, if you haven't played it for 3 years, we'll give you 6 months, and we'll send you an email, right? That probably gets sent to the junk folder, because if you ever actually had these notifications from these companies, it's just fucking junk mail. There's no priority order or anything. So you could quite literally not get this for 6 months because you put their crap into junk, their ads into junk mail, and now your account's closed forever. You could have a $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $10,000 account on your PSN, and they could just shut it off, and it's irreversible. That is ridiculous, because it's not even a license anymore. So why? Why are they doing this? So it's clearly because they need to get rid of empty load, which makes sense. I understand why they're doing it. But say you have both consoles, right? And you have a computer. You primarily play all of your stuff on Xbox and PC, and whenever there's a new, like, maybe you only play when there's a new God of War, right? And you only play the new God of War on PlayStation because it goes there first. So every 4 years, right? This could theoretically mean you lose access to all of your account. And that's abysmal. This is a massive problem. I understand you had 3 years to turn on your PlayStation. You had 3 years to play Helldivers, right? And I think that's just loser talk. They shouldn't be able to just turn off your account, right? If you say you're in a bank, right, and you have 10 cents in your bank account, right, and your bank doesn't have a minimum deposit account for a savings account or something, and after 3 years, if you're not touching that 10 cents, they send you a quick little email saying, hey, that 10 cents we're going to close and take it. What if you have PSN points, whatever the fuck they're called? What if you have $500 of PSN points you haven't purchased and it's just been sitting in your account? They've effectively stolen $500 from you. And even banks don't do that. Like, you could literally just dump a bank account, and then it's ridiculous. If we treat the PSN account as a bank account, which it effectively is because of the way you load actual money into it to purchase their points, this is completely unacceptable. This is something that needs to be reversed, especially with a new console. Like, it just seems like PlayStation right now is going complete anti-consumer, and it's worrisome because they haven't even started hitting their massive issues regarding job firings. The restructure that's going to happen, right? Sony, if Xbox was losing a shit ton of money, right? Every game they made, like Halo Infinite probably broke even, maybe made a couple $1 million. Gears 5 made a lot of money. Starfield fucking flopped harder than a fat kid jumping off a diving board. Like, even those losses, what was avowed fucking garbage, even those losses do not even come close to what Sony's lost. I think Concord alone probably cost Sony more than the entirety of Xbox's losses, and they kept them fucking coming. And I'm worried because they're gonna fire a lot of people. They closed, like, the Concord Studios probably closed, if not it already is, and it's bad. And then here's them talking about incredible PlayStation announced the end of physical disc production the week after they deleted all the movies you bought digitally from your account, so they could literally, whenever they want, it's like, oh, we don't have the license anymore to that, gone out of your account, not yours anymore, which is ridiculous. This is kind of like one of the main arguments for physical media, is that once I purchased the product, you can't take it away from me because I've already purchased it. And when you're in regards to this, like, realistically, if you had a PS3 game and PS3 games are backwards compatible on the PS6, you could purchase a disc reader, plug it in, have that disc read into your PlayStation and play the game. Realistically, that's what it should do. However, PlayStation has never really been about backwards compatibility the same way Xbox has. So Xbox, you could do that. I have a feeling that even if the new Xbox doesn't have a disc reader, you could put all of your games on your Xbox Series X in the disc reader, shove them in, install it, get the digital code, and then now it's attached to your Xbox account. So now you can play all of your Xbox 360 games, Xbox One games, you name it, and you can play that on the new Xbox, whatever it's going to be called. PlayStation doesn't really do that, so I'm a little worried, especially when they just deleted movies. Like, they literally stole from people, and it's bad. Now, what do I think exactly? I think PlayStation's about to feel the ripple effect of the firings at Xbox, and they're going to struggle, especially now when they're moving, when, like, everyone knows the new consoles are going to sell horrible, right? If you are not a hyper rich content creator and you're just an average Joe, and that new PlayStation's gonna be $1,200, I'm not buying that. $1,200 could buy you a fucking car, right? If you are a 16-year-old kid and you got to make a choice between a PS6 or, you know, a beat up 2001 Toyota Corolla that you can drive to and from school, you know, pick up girls, what have you. You're going to pick that 2001, 1996, whatever, beat up Toyota Corolla, and you're going to drive around, and you're going to be able to go to work, and you're going to go have a job. And, or you can not, and you can ask your mom for a PlayStation. What are they going to pick? That's $1,500. That's your car. Oh, I want the PlayStation. And remember, that's before you buy your games. And what if you were saving up for 3 years to get that PS6, mind you, and you couldn't log into your PSN account? $1,200, guys. If I think the Steam machine is going to be the same, probably the highest they can go. And if that's the case, $1,400 for an Xbox or PlayStation is diabolical. I do not think that that is a good price point. And I think that if you are at that point, it's cheaper just to build a computer. And you might be thinking, well, getting a 5060 Ti is $500. Getting the new graphics card, getting all that's going to be like, I think when I fully upgraded my computer, I probably shelled out $800 and I had to get everything new. And I got some stuff on sale. $800, $1,200. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. Put it on a credit card. Go to Amazon. Open an Amazon credit card. You know, I'm not saying this is what you should do, but the Amazon credit card system is actually pretty. You get a $200 gift card. You know, like go to Amazon. Go to Prime Days. Buy it then. You know, there's ways. Buy used stuff like that. There's ways to get shit cheaper. Just hope to God it's not bricked. But that is just something that I cannot fathom, where like, oh, for my new PlayStation 6 with no disc reader, no physical games, no, you don't own the product, and there's hyper DRM, and if Sony sneezes, you can lose the account. And even then, every single month, there's a massive data breach and everyone's information stolen off of PlayStation. We're going to charge you $1,400. And there's going to be some idiots like, deal. It's going to be Xbox. Xbox is going to, like, I think what's going to happen is Sony's refusing to sell it at cost, right? Sell it below cost. So they're going to be selling it at least at cost or above. So whatever that shit is, it's going to be at least $1,000, because isn't like the new PS5 Pro like almost 800, right? So we're already getting there. Like the ceiling is $2,000, right? And at that point in time, bro, fucking, if I'm $2,000, if I save up for like another 3 years and I could just drop $2,000 whenever the fuck I want on a PlayStation, okay, a fucking PlayStation, okay, I gotta buy a fucking house. You know, if I'm able to just throw $2,000 around, I'm owning my own property. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna put that on Daddy's credit card. But yeah, I just don't see it. I don't understand how they're doing this, and it's really sad. Because this is, remember, Xbox right now is focusing on their restructure and talking about how their new games are going to be better. We're getting rid of these bad companies. We're firing people. Hopefully those people are people you don't like. You know, you can feel good. That's for gamers. That's a win. And then Sony's like, we're going to fucking kick you in the balls. You want to play our games? Fuck you. It's just bad, man. It's just bad. And we've already seen part of what happened to Bungie. Bungie got gutted. They're gone. Like literally gone. Bungie as a studio is gutted. I think there was a Sony CEO. Let's see if it pops up. Yep, they're still working on their live service. We believe live service games or content. So they're moving away from Marathon and all that, and they're going to be focusing on third-party content. So their first-party games are going to be their first-party single players, and then their third-party content is going to be live service. So instead of having Bungie dump hundreds of millions of dollars directly, PlayStation is going to let some other schmuck do that, and then they'll just take the credit, right? And that's what they're doing. And they're also they gutted Bungie. They're gonna gut other studios because they're not making money. The God of War studio, whoever makes God of War, that's gone. Sucker Punch, the guys, I think Ghost of Yote, whatever, that's probably gonna see some cuts, because making cost back or 10-15% more than what you purchase, what cost, is not enough for these companies anymore. You're gonna have to be making 50% more, and they're just gonna fire all these people, and it's gonna be what it is. But yeah, I think that'll be all. Let's move on.